And some big news that we are actually surprisingly talking about, but for good reason. Me and PD Boy thought of some reference points out there in gaming and esports for what Mr. Beast is doing as he continues his run into gaming for several reasons, and what could be eventually buying a League of Legends roster, which has been confirmed for 2022, confirmed by him and his manager. That's the target year. And now this genius thing, if you guys missed over the past few days, doing something that it's just unfathomable what this guy is doing, and obviously very keen, very smart, launching 300 restaurant locations for the Mr. Beast Burger and more. And along with it, some questions being raised as to why he is announcing these restaurants, where will that capital go, and could he be selling burgers to afford a League of Legends roster, which the reason why I'm making this video, we have tons of other side points. Reed, Mr. Beast manager, shouts to him, responded to our tweet about this saying, "You're on to us." Now, whether joking or not, obviously the income from these restaurants and every creator and their mom talking about how they bought the burger or one of the things and the items, could this capital be going to fund a very expensive League of Legends roster?
And I gotta say, like, based on all the reviews, based on all the pictures, in fact, there's one like 10 minutes from here we might have to go check out at some point.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, just do it. But the business model he came up with is like not only perfect for the pandemic era, but it's just a smart, low-cost business model to begin with, because it's just delivery.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a dining room to keep up, doesn't have to pay people to, like, wipe down tables constantly, doesn't need cashiers, just a kitchen and delivery through Uber or through Postmates,
Yeah.
Grubhub. Like, it's such a smart idea. He's got 300 locations, and if it does well, the amount of capital you can turn around is wild.
It's like
crazy.
McDonald's should be shaking their boots at this guy who, by the way, obviously, yes, I would say a majority of responses so far have been good. There's always going to be those viral posts right now about, talking about their bad experience. Hopefully those do get better, but he's already talked about doubling and tripling his locations. And so, like you said, you got to imagine what you can flip around if this does succeed. He's got a really, really good team around him. And this is crazy because the first thing I thought of for some weird reason is back, I believe, 2013, might have been earlier, Ninjas in Pyjamas, esports organization, they get their own McNIP burger, and now 7 years later, Mr. Beast is just, this isn't even comparable to that.
And in 2013, you know who was selling that McIP burger? One Mr. Nadeshot.
Mr. Nadeshot. like,
flipping them burgers.
Like, what a full circle. You imagine Nadeshot's behind the counter at McDonald's and he's selling a McNIP burger, and now 7 years later, Nadeshot runs 100 Thieves, and Mr. Beast is like, selling burgers can be pretty profitable. Maybe I flip this around and invest into a League of Legends scene, which we're just kind of trippy maniacs. Like, full circle, Nadeshot has actually been on Reed, Mr. Beast Manager podcast, and Mr. Beast has talked to Nadeshot about owning a League of Legends roster. So, like, everything is, like, partially full circle if you really think about it.
Oh, what Nadeshot had that earlier in the year, had that, like, pregnancy debate video. What if young Nadeshot comes along one day, just like Dad, gonna work at a burger place? Young Nade starts working at Mr. Beast Burger, starts his own, and all of a sudden you got young Nade with 1,000 Steve taking on the old man. Like, what a world we're living in.
Holy.
Father fights son, son fights father.
You need to stop. You're
fueled by burgers.
Did you plan this? We don't plan these videos. We just run the camera. Dude, oh my. So Nadeshot has a kid. The kid grows up just like Nadeshot worked for McDonald's. Nadeshot's kid works at Mr. Beast Burger, delivering burgers, eventually becomes a pro, and plays for Mr. Beast League of Legends team. Full circle, and competes against Nadeshot. Is that what we're getting at?
If not, he does that, or he starts 1,000 Thieves. He just takes his day, just ups it.
Wouldn't it be 10,000, like 100 to the second power? Is that 10,000? I probably shouldn't do math here on the show.
No, you're correct, but that is, I'm like, he doesn't have to go to that far. I think you start with 1,000 Cs and you see where you go from there.
Or like 1,000 beasts. He just a mixture of both his employer and his dad shot.
Oh, I like 1,000 beasts. It's actually a sick name, actually.
I can't believe we actually went here.
If Reed's listening, we're copywriting 1,000 beasts. Yeah. That's us.
You can take Beast Gaming. 100 Thieves is already done. We're taking 1,000 beasts for the future. So it's obviously a very fun talking point. And very lastly, as this is one of his ventures to raise capital. That's very obvious. He's taken out at least one loan this past year, as many teams and organizations did, because they needed more funding. Clearly an idea to really boost capital for the future, which could be never ending. And so you think about a League of Legends team who those slot prices have only gone up. there are certainly a number that if the number was correct, that would maybe sell that spot in the future.
Yeah, and 2022 might be the perfect time. There's a lot of huge contracts coming up, and as we saw this year with Reckless and with Jensen, we're seeing these massive record-breaking contracts that are starting to price out the
little guys,
less competitive, less funded teams. So in 2 years, if you're looking around, you can't sign your best player because Cloud9 or Liquid or TSM is going to snatch him up for like $3 million a year.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, maybe Mr. Beast coming in offering to buy your spot looks really, really inviting.
Yeah, all of a sudden, if you're CLG and you're like, we have been, or anyone, right? The League of Legends is not my mantra, but if you're a bottom of the table team time and time again, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, we should probably just, it's not our thing. CLG known notoriously as the budget team, right? So eventually, what if a price does come around? Everyone has a price, right? And so what if by 2022, Mr. Beast has sold a couple million burgers and he's like, you know what? Time to really expand into gaming like he wants to. You got to start wondering what his options will be, what teams he will discuss with, and you would think the bottom of the table who are willing to sell. So, and a hilariously full circle story, guys. Mr. Beast continues to make gigantic moves, and I'm glad we can somewhat tie it to esports and gaming. Could it be to afford a future League of Legends team? We will find out a year and a half from now, and if we are right, we'll be back talking about it.
When young Nadeshot takes on his dad
and 1,000
with 1,000 beasts.
Oh, that was